Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Absolute Astronomy, the podcast where we discuss space things because space is cool, so let's talk about it. Today's episode is breaking away from the controversial topic train and going back to cosmic catastrophes. Before we dive into our specialty space topic of the week, let's start things off with a twist.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to This Week in Space Talk, where we discuss what's making headlines in the space community. This week we're actually going to be discussing something that's been floating around the newsroom for a couple of years now, but for whatever reason my coworkers and I started talking about it this week, so I figured I'd share. Although there is one thing that I'd like to talk about before getting to that. If you follow me on Twitter, you're already aware of the fact that the first flower to be grown in space has blossomed. That's right, a bright orange zinnia has made its debut aboard the International Space Station. It's part of NASA's project known as Veggie, which is designed to produce food in space for longer manned missions to Mars. Crew members have already grown and eaten lettuce last year, and next year they're hoping to grow some tomatoes. The plants are grown aeroponitically, which means that they're grown without soil in an air or mist environment. This system requires much less water and fertilizer, and the plants can grow up to 3 times faster than they would on Earth. Okay, now on to what was on my coworkers' minds this week, the big solar flare of 2020. In about 4 years' time, the Earth has a 12% chance of experiencing the enormous mega flare erupting from the sun. You remember back in 1999 when people were freaking out about Y2K destroying all technology? Yeah, well, this could have the same effect, but probably worse. The effect could potentially cause trillions of dollars worth of damage and would take up to a decade to recover from. Events like these are very rare, seeing as the last giant solar storm, known as the Carrington event, happened more than 150 years ago. Earth's sun typically goes through an 11-year cycle of increased and decreased activity. During solar maximum, it's dotted with tons of sunspots and magnetic whirlwinds begin to erupt from its surface. Sometimes these flares burst outwards, sending a massive charged particles into space, and unfortunately sometimes planets tend to get in the way. In worst case scenario, long-term effects of this solar storm would be a disruption in the transportation, communication, finance, and government systems, loss of water, food, medications, all considering, there's really nothing we can do to protect our planet from a solar flare. But hey, we only have a 12% chance of being hit. You just better make sure you're wearing your lucky underwear or something. Coming up, we'll be discussing our latest catastrophe, but don't worry, this one won't affect our planet. I'll catch you back here shortly on Absolute Astronomy. Welcome back. That was Midnight City by M83. Can you believe that song is already 5 years old? The other day I was reading about some songs that were turning 10 years old this year, and it seemed just like yesterday they all came out. When You Were Young, The Sweet Escape, Breaking Free from High School Musical. Anyways, on to the space topic of the day. Today we're talking about stellar explosions of mass destruction. That's right, supernovas. I just thought the first way sounded much cooler. A supernova is a rare event that occurs during the last stage of a massive star's life. We've only been able to see 3 supernovas with our naked eyes during the last 1,000 years or so, but tons have been spotted in other galaxies via telescope. On average, a supernova will occur every 50 years or so. There are 2 ways that supernovas can occur. The first way is by stealing matter from a nearby source, such as a white dwarf star, which then triggers a thermonuclear explosion once a sufficient density is reached. The second, and way more cooler way, is once a star runs out of fuel, there's no more pressure to sustain it from its own weight. This then results in the outer layers of the stars collapsing into the core and then rebounding in a tremendous explosion. There's a lot of speculation whether or not supernovas create black holes, but supernovas are common in stars 8 to 15 times the mass of our sun. If you can recall back to the first episode when we were talking about black holes, a star is to be at least 20 times the mass of our sun to form one. That isn't saying that it's impossible though. We've just never witnessed a star less than 20 times the mass of our sun creating one. I bet you're wondering how we even begin to look for supernovas in the first place. NASA uses different types of telescopes to observe the visible light from the explosion, but they also have other kinds which record data from the X-rays and gamma rays produced from supernovas. In 2012, NASA launched its first orbiting telescope, which focuses light on the high-energy region of the electromagnetic spectrum. The New Star mission searches for collapsed stars, black holes, and the remains of supernovas throughout our universe. In 2008, astronomer Alicia Soderberg and her colleague witnessed a supernova exploding in real time, giving off a 5-minute burst of light and X-rays. So why do we bother studying supernovas? Well, first of all, they look pretty sweet. But the main reason is because scientists determined that supernovas play a key role in distributing elements throughout the universe. The star may be gone, but that doesn't mean there's nothing left of it. After the explosion occurs, various elements and debris are shot out into space. They go on to form new stars, planets, and pretty much everything else in our universe. In fact, a lot of the elements found here on Earth are made from the core of stars. So the reason I chose to discuss this topic this week is because not too long ago there was a record-breaking supernova. And no, I didn't stutter, it's literally called a supernova. Back in June, astronomers in Chile spotted an explosion that was 200 times more powerful than the average supernova. You've looked into the sun, right? Oh, come on, we've all been stupid enough to do that at least once. Well, imagine staring into 570 billion of those. That's how bright this superluminous supernova was. The supernova, dubbed ASASSN 15LH, or as I like to call it for short, Assassin, occurred in a galaxy 3.8 billion light years away from Earth. Astronomers estimate that the total radius of the explosion was around 7,830 light years. That's bigger than the Eagle Nebula's distance from us. Assassin now holds the #1 spot for the biggest and brightest supernova ever recorded in all of astronomy history. Scientists are still questioning what sort of stars and stellar scenarios might be responsible for the extreme event. Fun fact, in 2011, a 10-year-old girl from Canada discovered a supernova while looking at night sky images on her computer. The images were taken by an amateur astronomer and just so happened to contain a supernova without even realizing it. And NASA thinks they need big fancy telescopes.
She's a whistle on the wind, a feather on the breeze, a ripple on the stream. She is sunlight on the sea. She's a soft summer rain falling gently through the trees, and I love her. She's cunning as a fox, clever as a crow, solid as a rock. She is stubborn as a stone. She's a hard-headed woman, and the best one that I know, and I love her. Yeah, well, I love her. She's as new as the springtime, strong as autumn blows, warm as the summer and soft as the snow. She's 1,000 miles from here, but she's everywhere I go, 'cause I love her. She loves me like a woman, she looks like a lady, but she laughs like a child, cries like a baby. I think that maybe she's the one that's gonna save me.
Welcome back. That was And I Love Her by Passenger. If you ever want to win a girl's heart, just send her that song. Anyways, we've come to the end of yet another episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at astro_podcast for news stories, updates, and cool space photos of the day. You can also check out the YouTube channel where I post exclusive content from time to time, although I haven't really done that yet. And if you have a topic you'd like me to discuss, feel free to send me a message. Adios.